And we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your favorite wrestling fan here, Eric Rodriguez, every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time here. Let's talk about the greatest thing in the world, professional wrestling. We talk about all the action inside and outside of the ring, backstage, curtain calls, rumors, dramas. We talk about injury updates, inactive statuses, contract negotiations, extensions. In terms of wrestlers, we talk about promotions like WWE, TEW, to the TNA, to Ring of Honor. If it makes major news in the world of professional wrestling, we talk about it here on this show, 1010%. So make sure you guys, Superman, punch that like and subscribe button to the show. Follow the show. Follow thy network. All right, without further ado, we're going to talk about Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin, once again, is in wrestling news, talking a potential WWE return. Baron Corbin spent about 12 years inside the WWE, and then he saw shockingly he part ways with WWE last year. You've seen him recently compete inside of a GCW event, according to an interview with Insight with Chris Van Fillet. He said that he would turn down an offer from WWE if he was given ultimately the chance. Corbin shared that the new audience WWE is currently bringing in with this new Netflix era has basically his character would be, kind of have a stigma. He thought his run in WWE NXT would ultimately restore his character on the main roster. And, he's kind of right. He's definitely kind of right in terms of, I feel like WWE, in terms of Monday Night Raw on Netflix, I feel like you kind of, when you sign a contract, like what Netflix wanted, they wanted CM Punk, they wanted Cody Rhodes, they wanted Roman Reigns, they wanted the whole Bloodline storyline to kind of be aired solamente on WWE Netflix, Monday Night Raw on Netflix. But, Baron Corbin, I feel like he could have had a great character. I do. I feel like 1,010%. He's had so many... He's had chances. He's definitely had chances. But then again, due to bad booking, and I honestly do not put any of this on Baron Corbin. The guy's, Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal winner. He's Golden Gloves boxer. He's good. He really is. He's talented. He's physical. He can, he could definitely, rough it up inside the squared circle with the best of them, including Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, John Cena, and, basically anybody. And it just ultimately boils down to the fact that when this guy won the Money in the Bank, he kind of, Baron Corbin is known, not backstage, he's known by anybody of kind of being a hothead. He's a little bit of a hothead. Who isn't? Who isn't? Especially when you have dumb creative officials, tell you what you're going to do. And it was, it seems, hey, man, do Happy Corbin. Hey, guess what, man? You're going to be broke as hell. You're going to be broke, sad-ass Corbin. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to be Constable Corbin. He went through so many different character changes, and Baron Corbin literally, he went out there, looked him dead in the eye. He was like, you know what? I think it's stupid as hell, but I'm going to do it. And he went out there and he performed to a T. He did it great. Fans believed it. I definitely believed it. I thought Baron Corbin's character died ultimately when he lost his hair, and when he was this lone wolf badass from WWE NXT, making it to WWE SmackDown, winning the Money in the Bank. I thought this guy was gonna come out and just absolutely run rampant, absolutely be the talk of the town. I wanted to see this guy literally hurt people. I wanted to see something like that. But like I said, you don't cross the boss. He according to reports, he went off on WWE officials. I don't know if it was Bruce Pritchard. I don't know if it was Vince McMahon himself. But then after that, he got banged. He got effed after that. It sucks. It sucks. He was very talented. Had a very promising start. He lost the Money in the Bank match, and then with the whole thing with John Cena and stuff like that, and it was embarrassing. It was embarrassing. I don't know if Vince McMahon kind of went out on a limb to make sure Baron Corbin was made an example of, and then he went off and started. But it wouldn't surprise me. It would not surprise me. Later on down the line, you found out that Kurt Angle's whole angle or spiel or storyline with Jason Jordan being his illegitimate father. it was a joke by Vince McMahon, about the, oh, I know Kurt Angle's had a lot of, a lot of history with, African American, women, and then he has an illegitimate son with Jason Jordan, and according to reports, he made that storyline up. It was to trash Kurt Angle. It was to trash Kurt Angle when he came back from TNA. Make an example of him. Don't cross the boss. You come back, yeah, you could be the, you could be the general manager of Monday Night Raw. Oh, but then my daughter and her badass husband's gonna come in and make you feel absolutely like crap, make you feel absolutely obsolete, and that Baron Corbin got the he got the right hand of Vince McMahon as well. And back then, I don't know if any of you guys watched this, the Vince McMahon documentary, Mr. McMahon, on Netflix. This caused a lot of problems with Vince McMahon because, he would mostly let his temper get the best of him. He would mostly, feel like he is always right. There's most of the time where he would book bookings for SmackDown and Raw, but then the next week not remember it. And so you would see, things kind of happen over and over again, like a wash, rinse, and repeat cycle, like you're looking at a freaking dishwasher. And I feel like Baron Corbin is one of those people who suffered the most of it. He definitely did 1,010%. WWE creative never really knew how to handle his talents. How to, why get rid of the Lone Wolf? Everybody loved it. Everybody absolutely 1,010% loved it. And then, he becomes King Corbin. And yeah, you win the King of the Ring. That's cool. It's an achievement. You win the Money in the Bank, but never really cash it in successfully. That's not really such a big deal. It's how Baron Corbin literally went. And, it's kind of crazy because the whole storyline seems like it makes sense. But, of course, it's ultimately portrayed vice versa, where you had, poor Corbin, and then you had happy Corbin. But in this case, it was happy Corbin, and then semi-consolidated Baron Corbin, then semi-happy Baron Corbin, to the point where it was like, you know what? Get me out of here, Baron Corbin. Then Baron Corbin went down to NXT. Like he said, he thought it was ultimately going to revamp his career. He did great. He literally, him with Bron Breakker, a lot of talent. He had a lot of talent. I feel like, and he even said it himself. He even said it himself that when he got demoted down to WWE NXT, he knew it was a punishment. And Bruce Pritchard basically told him it was a punishment. Basically said, hey, this is what we're going to do with you. And they were planning on him to fail. They were planning on him to fail to be ultimately released at the end of his contract. And that did not happen. That did not happen. With the NXT, he was successful. People loved him. Him with, with Bron Breakker. Then he makes it to SmackDown. Not good storylines. None whatsoever. Here and there tag team with Apollo Crews, and they were actually pretty cool together, I gotta be honest. But you add that sinking ship to a giant ass iceberg, it's gonna sink. It's gonna sink, and that's exactly what happened with Baron Corbin when he came back to SmackDown. I feel like ultimately maybe somebody in the back of WWE was like, all right, you know what? This plan of sending Baron Corbin down to NXT to fail is not working, guys. It's not working. Send him back to SmackDown. We need this guy out of here. And they sent him to SmackDown, and that's exactly what happened. He was in, he was in matches here and there and the other, and then, like I said, that tag team with Apollo Crews, it was okay. It wasn't bad. And then at the end of the day, he gets released. Absolute shocker. It was one of the most shocking moments that I remember opening up Instagram and I saw it. I was like, dude, that's insane. That's BS. That's terrible. He did not deserve that. I feel like he will maybe eventually come back to WWE. Maybe when WWE officials, don't really have their head up their asses. And, it kind of hurts to say, and it kind of sucks. Because I read reports, I think, who was it? I think it was a report by Ronda Rousey saying that basically if Bruce Pritchard is still in WWE, you still have Vince's voice, talking into his ear, and talking about it, in terms of not necessarily creative, but in terms of, who's going to be the next guy, who's going to be the next success in WWE, who's going to be this, who's going to be that. And it got to the point where it was like, even though, they're saying all these people are, with the whole Janelle Grant allegations from Vince McMahon, and all the settlement and stuff like that. New people are going to come in to change WWE. It's not going to be the same anymore. It's not. But then only to find out later on, it's it's kind of really been the same. And but obviously in terms of what's going on in terms of the Paul Levesque era, it is different. It is different, and that's great. That's fantastic. But according to reports, a lot of people think that the culture in WWE headquarters, thought that things would get better when he kind of saw the departure of Vince McMahon. But, I guess people think that it's more or less kind of the same, maybe a little bit better. So I feel like you kind of have to, handle that internally, get it better, and then maybe you might be able to kind of handle talent like somebody like Baron Corbin to the point where you can kind of bring him back. I wasn't I wasn't the biggest Baron Corbin guy. I wasn't. Of course, when he came in NXT the first time, I loved it. I thought that was super cool. I thought the whole Lone Wolf thing, I thought it was badass. But, it just wasn't, it just wasn't for him. When he came back, when he came to, I don't know. And, it is what it is. It is what it is. But, I don't know. Baron Corbin had this to say, and he said this, and I quote, "I've always done everything that I could. I've always been asked to do things. And guess what? I went out there and I did exactly what I was told to do." And like I was talking about earlier in this segment, he did that. He did that. Whether if it made him look absolutely, if it made him look like a jackass, if it made him look stupid as hell, he still went out there and he did it. But, ultimately, Baron Corbin, when you tell him to do a job, doesn't really necessarily mean that, you're going over or anything like that. He's going to go out there and, if you want him to make an ass out of himself, he's going to go out there and be the best at that. If you want him to go out there and be this dominant force, he's going to go out there and do that. If you want him to put young talent over, guess what? He's going to do it, although he's a young talent in and himself. But, it is what it is. Baron Corbin maybe coming back to the WWE might be up in the air, but then partially, maybe not. All right, guys, so we do not go anywhere. We're going to finish this night with some TNA Impact preview. So grab your favorite snack, grab your favorite ice cold beverage. Join me here in about 20 seconds. So hey, do not go absolutely anywhere.